Hello po mga ka-viral, welcome back sa aking YouTube channel. Isa na namang update ngayon ang ating pag-uusapan patungkol sa controversial na mayor ng BAMBAN, Tarlac na si Mayor ALICE GUO. Nabuhayan ng loob ang nag-iimbestiga sa tunay na pagkatao ni Mayor ALICE GUO dahil sa isang post na nadiskubre ng isang netizen na maaring mag-uugnay kay Titser Rubilyn. Ang tinutukoy ni Mayor ALICE GUO na homeschool teacher niya sa kanilang farm mula kinder hanggang high school siya. At siya ring kasambahay ng kanyang ama. Trending ngayon ang lumang post ng isang babae kung saan kapansin-pansin na tila may malalim na relasyon ito sa alkalde. Sa gitna ng investigasyon ngayon sa tunay na pagkatao ng suspendidong mayor ng BAMBAN na si Mayor ALICE GUO, nakakita ang mga netizens ng birthday post mula sa nagangalang mayor na masiklat. At tila may kaugnayan kay Mayor ALICE GUO. Kung susuriin ang previous post nito, ay makikitang walang revision sa edit history ng tinutukoy na babae ay bumati sa petsa ng August 31 na iba sa kaarawan na nakasaad sa birth certificate ni ALICE GUO. Natugma din sa isa sa mga recent document na inilabas ni Senator Win Gatchalian noong nakaraang linggo. Kaya ang tanong ngayon ng marami ay kung sino si mayor na masiklat at ano ang totoong relasyon nito sa controversial na alkalde. Ayon sa isang netizen, today, I'll show you kung paano magmates with a purpose. These pictures were posted 7 years ago. Walang edit history ang post na ito from aling mayor na masiklat. Meaning legit post ito. Hindi manufactured evidence. Ang tanong, sino si Pretty Pig? Sino ang kasama ni Mayor Alice sa picture? Ano ang relasyon ni aling mayor na kay Pretty Pig? These pictures are of national significance. They could be the missing parts of a grand puzzle that not even the Senate is able to solve. Sabi naman ng isang anonymous netizen, nandito lahat ng sagot sa tanong kung bakit ka mahalaga, Ma'am Myrna. Napakanta ka din ba? Ang tanong ngayon, sino si Myrna masiklat? Siya ba si Titser Rubilyn ni ALICE GUO? Sunod-sunod na birthday greetings ni Auntie Myrna kay Pig. August 31, 2017. Happy birthday, Pretty Pig. August 31, 2018. Happy birthday, Pig. December 17, 2014. Thank you, Pig. Nirepost at tinag si ALICE GUO. Si Guo Ping at si Pig ay same birthday. Si Pig at si ALICE GUO magkamukha. Si ALICE GUO ay tinag as Pig. Therefore, I conclude ay hindi kayo na pala bahala. Anong gusto niyo isipin? Bakit magkaiba birthday ni Guo Ping at ALICE GUO kung iisa lang sila? Siguro kaya pinalitan yung birthday doon sa late registration ni ALICE GUO para sa mga legal documents na kailangan nila. Sa ngayon ay hinahanap na si mayor na masiklat para maimbitahan, para mabigyang linaw na kung sino at ano ang totoong pagkatao ni Mayor ALICE GUO. Samantala sa kaugnay na balita ay hindi umano dininig ng korte ang motion for reconsideration na inihain ng kampo ni Mayor ALICE GUO upang maalis na ang suspension niya bilang mayor ng BAMBAN, Tarlac. Nabuking din sa investigasyon na malawak ang koneksyon ni Mayor ALICE GUO sa mga pogo operations dahil hindi lang sa pogo sa BAMBAN siya konektado pati na rin sa Porac, Pampanga.
And we're still joined by Senator Win Gatchalian. Senator, another expose. So in the interview that I had with ALICE GUO, she was claiming that her mother was their kasambahay. She claims to have never met her mother. I'm sure that you remember that from the Senate hearing, right? And she even claims that she wants to search for her mother. And you come up with this document. You found this document. How can that document prove that she is really that person in the document, a Chinese citizen who moved to the Philippines when she was 13?
Karen, I'm absolutely convinced that Guo Huaping is ALICE GUO. They're one and the same. And there are 3 reasons why I'm very convinced that they're one and the same. Number one, that child in the special investors resident visa, the big child, talagang hawig na hawig, kamukha ni ALICE GUO. There's no doubt about that. Number 2, in that application of the special investors residence visa, Win Gatchalian was the applicant, and she indicated in her application that her dependent daughter is Guo Huaping, which is a child that is in that application form. It's very clear that Win Gatchalian applied Guo Huaping as her dependent daughter. At the same time, she also indicated her address there. And the address is exactly the same address in Valenzuela. She indicated in her special investors resident visa that her address is in Valenzuela. Her business is in Valenzuela.
Yeah.
And if you look at the incorporation papers of Wen Yilin, it's exactly the same address. So in other words, Wen Yilin in the incorporation papers and Wen Yilin in the special investors resident visa is one and the same. No, that puts them in the same boat. Third is the story. If you look at the story, the reason why Guo Huaping cannot narrate where was she born, who was the person who initiated the birth, where did she study, is because she didn't grow up here in the Philippines. She grew up in China. She came here in 2003 when she was 13 years old. And her everything before that was in China. And that brings in the late registration because she was not born here. Her father lied in the late registration. There are 4 birth certificates, Karen, that her father applied through late registration. 4 different children, 4 different kids. In those 4 different late registrations, she indicated Amelia Lial as the mother of those 4 individuals. So meaning, Amelia Lial, who is the kasambahay, nabuntis siya ng 4 na beses and gave birth to 4 of her father's children, which is impossible. No? Kasambahay, how can a kasambahay give birth to 4 of your children? And she also and her father also indicated that they were married in 2 different dates, in 4 different birth certificates.
Okay, so interesting ito, no? Unang-una, what was the name of the mother?
Wen Yilin.
Wen Yilin.
Yes.
Wen Yilin is, of course, a Chinese citizen who applied for Guo. For ALICE GUO, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But in the Senate, you and Senator Risa Hontiveros, you showed marriage certificates. And who was the father allegedly married to? Amelia? Sino yun?
Angelito Guo.
Yeah, sino ang asawang babae ulit?
In the birth certificate, it's Amelia Lial.
And that is not the same woman as Hen Yilin. Iba yun.
No, it's not the same woman.
So is Amelia Lial a Filipino?
Amelia Lial is a figment of her imagination. There's no such person. Does not exist because the PSA certified that there is no birth certificate for Amelia Lial.
Yeah.
Amelia Lial, for all intents and purposes, based on the document or based on the documents, is a figment of her imagination. There's no Amelia Lial.
So is it right to say that, okay, that marriage certificate, when was that issued? In 20, anong nakalagay doon, sir?
I just don't have the dates right now. But it was issued a long time ago. But interestingly, the 4 birth certificates, 2 have different marriage dates, and the other 2 has 2 different marriage dates. So that by alone, her father again lied because how can you have 2 different marriage dates for the same person? And at the same time, the PSA also certified there's no marriage certificate between Angelito Guo and Amelia Lial.
Why do you think would they have to fake the marriage certificate, considering in 2003, when the Chinese mother supposedly appealed, or asked that, nag-apply for an investor visa? To be fair, binigyan naman ng gobyerno, right? Binigyan naman. Hindi naman dinenay. So there's no need to fake that. And ALICE GUO only ran for mayor in, kailan ba, sir? 2022. So ang tanong ko, from the time of 2003 to 2022, why would the father have to fake their marriage certificate, the identity of ALICE GUO, considering she is licensed to do business in the Philippines anyway?
Okay.
Why would they do that?
Okay, there are 2 answers to your questions, Karen. Number 1 is the late registration happened in 2005.
Okay.
And in order to make her a Filipino, you have to have both parents Filipinos. No? So, Angelito Guo declared himself there as Filipino, but in his passport, it's supplied by the Bureau of Immigration, he is Chinese. And Amelia Leal, they declared her as Filipino. But we all know Amelia Leal is non-existent. So because of those declarations, Alice Guo in that birth certificate became Filipino. And that birth certificate that was issued in 2005 became the basis for her to do business, incorporate companies in the Philippines, buy land, and eventually file for
buy land.
candidacy. Yes,
Okay, go on. Buy land.
Yes, buy land, incorporate corporations, because the corporations like Baofu was incorporated to buy land. And at the same time, in 2022, I think this was an afterthought nilang from on their part, is to run for public office.
So, okay. Ang tanong ko, the father, Angelito Guo, who's clearly a Chinese citizen, was able to get documents and declare himself a Filipino citizen, which is not possible, right? But it happened. And Amelia Guo, Lian, is completely fictitious. Why would the Philippine government give them papers to say they're Filipino without seeing them in person?
That's where the problem comes in. That's why the Philippine Statistics Authority should go deeper and investigate this deeper. And I truly believe there's also syndicates operating in the Philippine Statistics Authority. The late registration process was created to enable our poor constituents, especially our indigenous peoples, to apply for a birth certificate. Mga IPs natin, they normally give birth in the mountains or somewhere really remote, and there's no one to certify that that person actually was born here in the Philippines. So the late registration was created and deliberately made it accessible and easy for our constituents to apply for birth certificates. The problem is it was abused. It was abused because it was easy, and for foreigners to become Filipino, you don't have to undergo the naturalization process, which is costly. You have to get lawyers to make your paperwork. You also have to go through Congress if you want to do the legislative process. It's very difficult. But with late registration, all you need to do is supply the information and they will give you your birth certificate. Of course, there are supporting documents there, but in practice, a lot of those supporting documents are not being supplied.
Another question is, when the Supreme Court, this is from the side of Alice Guo's legal counsel, when the Supreme Court decided on Senator Grace Poe's case as a foundling, when her parents, she didn't know her parents, right? And you had some accusing her to be an American citizen. The Supreme Court essentially said she is Filipino, right? So she was found in this church. It was established, given to the story essentially of how she got to Fernando Po Jr. and Susan Rosens. So the Supreme Court declared she is a Filipino, right? So the team of Alice Guo is using that decision as a precedent for them. Because they say Alice Guo, if she doesn't know her mother, is one similar case daw with Senator Grace Poe. And number two, she only carries a Philippine passport. She doesn't carry a Chinese passport today, so one cannot prove she's a Chinese citizen. What are your thoughts, Senator?
Karen, Guo Huaping and Senator Grace Poe's circumstances are two very different circumstances. Senator Grace Poe is a foundling. She doesn't know her mother and father. She was found in a church. Guo Huaping has a father who is a Chinese. And the father faked her birth certificate. And that can be proven easily because of that inconsistency in the birth certificate. At the same time, Wen Yilin applied in the BOI and declared Guo Huaping as her dependent daughter. So, in other words, we can trace the mother in this particular case. It's just they lied in the birth certificate and they created that story of kasambahay. So these are two very distinct and different circumstances. That's why all of this evidence that we gathered, all of these pieces of evidence that we gathered, should be used by the Office of the Solicitor General in their filing of a quo warranto case, because these are very important pieces of evidence and very substantial for that matter.
Yeah. And more urgent than that is the COMELEC said that if she files her candidacy as Bamban mayor, there are only 50,000 voters in Bamban, so most likely she'd win again, right, without a strong opponent, is they have to accept her candidacy.
Correct. But I hope someone in Bamban, at least one out of that 50,000, will file a case to challenge her citizenship.
Yeah.
Because it's true that COMELEC is ministerial in the receiving of the certificate of candidacy, but the COMELEC will be triggered to investigate if someone from Bamban, a registered voter, will challenge her citizenship. And I'm sure there will be. I'm sure opponents will be running against her, and typically the opponents are the one who will challenge her citizenship. So aside from the OSG, someone from Bamban will probably challenge her citizenship.
Okay, Senator, there's a good question here. What about a genetic test?
Yeah.
I've never taken this, but apparently some people have. It says here that it even reveals if you're 1% German, 2% Norwegian. Lalabas daw yun. So, is that possible to order ALICE GUO to take such to see if there's Filipino blood in her?
That's why I challenge her and Wen Yilin to take the DNA test.
Yeah.
A DNA test, it's already proven. It's a legal document. It's been used in a lot of adoption cases.
Oh.
And it's a legal document that they can take. And all of these accusations will disappear if they take that DNA test to prove or disprove whether Wen Yilin is her mother or not. And I believe Wen Yilin is her mother. And to disprove all of us,
but we don't even know
that DNA test.
But we don't even know if Wen Yilin is still alive.
Wen Yilin, based on the information we got from the Bureau of Immigration, Wen Yilin and Guo Jiangjong already returned to China. They're not Filipino citizens. They have no obligation to stay here. So they went back to China. Probably pinapalamig yung situation, and that's why we don't have any means of compelling them to take the DNA test. That's why it's a challenge. It's a challenge for her because she's disproving all of our statements.
But if it's not a DNA test, is there another test?
Apparently there is.
There is. That's what they're saying. That just shows what nationality you may have in your bloodstream.
Correct. I think there is, someone told me about that test, but I'm not sure whether it's legal. It tells me your ethnicity, but I'm not sure if it holds in court. Unlike a paternity or maternity DNA test that will hold in court.
So I think one thing clear, there are two issues here. No, this is for our viewers. Number one, if she isn't a Filipino citizen, then she should not have been qualified to run for public office, right?
Correct. That's correct.
It's quite clear you have to be a Filipino citizen. And
Correct.
to be a Filipino citizen, your mother has to be Filipino. Is it your mother or your father too? Or it has to be your mother?
Either one.
Either one.
Yeah,
Okay.
either one.
So that's why the kasambahay explanation, her version comes out. Okay
Correct,
na.
correct.
Kasambahay nanay ko, Pilipina siya. That's one. Number two, Senator, the bigger issue of pogos. Number one, some have said it's possible that she's really a result of pogo politics. If there's narco politics, she's one of pogo politics. Pogo business owners funded her. They want a friendly mayor. They want a mayor that supports Pogo, right? So let's talk about Pogo already as the fact that it's still legal in the Philippines.
Well, Karen, this is the reason why we expanded the investigation to include the nationality of ALICE GUO or Guo Huamping. Because if you look at the entire picture, we believe, and there's strong evidence, that money laundering is happening already here in the Philippines through the POGOs. And on a later date in the hearing, we'll show that in this BAMBAN case, there's big sums of money coming in untraced through our banking system, untraced by the government, and cannot be detected by government. And we have evidence to prove that.
Really?
And the reason why we expanded the nationality issue is because if you're a Filipino and you're getting untraced money, you can buy land. You can incorporate companies.
Yes.
As Filipino, you can become a legit